Welcome to Lively Lewis Stories.
Buckle up, because you're about to join Levi and Ivy on an adventure.
All you need is your imagination, and
Off we go! Lively Lewis Stories!
Levi, Ivy, are you ready to go on our walk? Called Levi and Ivy's mom from the front door. I'd like to get going because we don't have long before we have to get dinner ready. Sure, Mommy, answered Ivy as she got her coat and walked to the front door. Just a minute, Mom, called Levi. Levi was quite busy at the moment counting his Halloween candy. Halloween was just a few days earlier, and the candy stash he had was the thing of legends. Every kind of candy bar, gummy, and chocolate treat you could imagine was right there in his room. Now, his parents didn't let him keep the amazing bounty of candy in his room. Oh no. But they did let him organize it every now and then. This was one of those days. Levi had all of his candy scattered around his bed. He loved to neatly separate it all into piles and count the tasty towers of treats that he had collected. 23, 24, 25 packs of gummy bears, Levi whispered to himself before he stopped to head out for his walk. He made his way to the door, still counting in his head. So that's 25 gummy bears and 15 red licorice ropes, he said out loud. That sounds like a lot of candy, Levi's mom said as she helped him with his coat. No way that's even close to all the candy I have, Levi answered with a big smile. You know, there's more to life than just candy, his mom said with a smile. I know, Mom, but candy makes my life sweet, and that's why I love it, Levi replied. Levi's mom turned around and walked outside to her kids. The fall air was crisp and cool and turned their noses red. They started down the street as the wind rustled the last remaining leaves in the trees overhead. What's your favorite kind of candy, Ivy? Levi asked. But before she could answer, he said that his was chocolate caramel bites. As the walk went on, Levi decided to list his all favorite candies because the more he had thought about it, the more he couldn't imagine picking just one favorite. Levi's mom and Ivy didn't really want to hear any more about candy, so they walked up ahead as Levi lagged behind. They walked into the park where there was a little waterfall and a playground up ahead. The splashing water was cold and Ivy and her mom walked quickly. However, Levi stopped and couldn't imagine how cool it would be if that water was actually fruit candy. A huge cascading fall of cherry, lime, and strawberry candy bites all pooling at the bottom, ready for him to taste. As he gazed at the waterfall, his mind started to wander, and just when he thought he had been lost in his imagination too long, something strange happened. The water actually started to change. It started to change into fruit candy. Levi couldn't believe his eyes. Mom, Ivy, look at this, he shouted. But when he turned around, his sister and mom were nowhere to be seen. He wondered where they had gone off to, but not for very long, because all of a sudden, everything around him began to transform, and within a matter of seconds, he was standing inside his very own candy world, made 100% of every candy he loved. There was a river made of chocolate syrup with root beer floats floating along by the shore. There were cotton candy clouds gliding along with the wind that smelled like sugar and cinnamon. Licorice ropes dangled from the treetops, made entirely of milk chocolate. Squirrels and chipmunks ran by carrying a feast for dinner, but it wasn't acorns and seeds. Instead, their little furry arms were filled with colorful gumdrops. Levi couldn't believe his eyes and sat down to catch his breath. But there was no benches in the park anymore. They had all been replaced with cupcake chairs piled high with fluffy vanilla frosting and hundreds of sprinkles. Ivy, Mom, you really have to see this, Levi called out. But still no one answered. He had to continue exploring, and of course while he was doing that, he started to get a bit hungry. He had a nibble of a cupcake, a few gumdrops, and a long piece of red licorice. Then, as he was strolling along the greatest candy world he could ever imagine, he stumbled upon the playground. Donuts replaced swings as long stretched out pieces of gum were made into giant trampolines. Chocolate bar slides filled the rest of the space as Levi's eyes grew wide. He had a taste of this and a taste of that. Then another taste and another. He was starting to get a little full when it began to rain. But in this new world he had created, it wasn't normal rain, it was chocolate pudding. He caught a few drops in his mouth and then a few more. As the rain shower turned into a full rainstorm, Levi's tummy started to hurt. "Oh no, I don't feel so good," Levi muttered to himself as he hid from the rain under a cupcake chair. He closed his eyes and just wished he was back on a walk with his mom and sister. As he sat under the cupcake with his eyes shut tight, he felt a tapping on his shoulder. "Levi, what are you doing sitting underneath the park bench?" he heard his mom say. "Mom!" Levi exclaimed as he jumped up and gave his mom a hug. "I'm so glad to see you!" Levi was so excited. In fact, it took him a second to notice he was back in the normal playground in the normal park. No more chocolate bar slides, donut swings, or fruit candy waterfalls. No more cotton candy clouds or licorice trees. "Everything is back to normal," exclaimed Levi. "I'm so happy." "Back to normal?" asked Mom. "What are you talking about?" Levi went on to tell Mom and Ivy about the amazing candy world he had visited. "I realize now there's definitely more to life than just candy. And even though it's sweet, too much of it can leave a sour taste in your mouth," Levi said. His mom and Ivy looked a bit confused, but they were happy Levi was able to concentrate on something other than candy for a change. When they got back home, Levi's mom went into the kitchen to make dinner. "Hey Levi," she called out to him. "Since you and Ivy went on a long walk with me, I'll let each of you have some of your Halloween candy after dinner." "No thank you, Mom," replied Levi. "I'm still full from the pudding rainstorm. I think I'll skip dessert tonight." Levi's mom stood staring at her son, totally confused as he left the kitchen. Pudding rainstorm? This kid has some imagination.
Did you learn a lesson from this story?
If so, what was it?
And parents, do your kids have a story idea?
Leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, the idea, and your kid's name for a chance to join Levi and Ivy on their next adventure. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. Come back for more.